You know, as I do this video process, it's been a learning curve how to lay these videos out if it gives some sense of continuity, as well as running the camera, where to place it, and this full mic thing that I try to use so that you can hear better. I have had cases to where it just does not work at all, and I end up with silent video. That's kind of the pits, because I got to go back and start over. Well, today's video, I started out and I had checked my audio and I thought everything was showing that it was recording. But as you're going to see, my beginning audio for the first 3, 4, or 5 minutes is pretty poor. It's just going to the camera. It's not working through my lapel mic or lavalier mic. So I apologize for the poor audio, but it does get better through the latter part of the video. I always try to check, but somehow I missed this, and by the time I was done with the process of working on this cabinet, it was kind of too late to go back and change it. Well, last week we put this cabinet back together using the old wood, the old nails, filling all the nail holes in with the toothpicks, and I've got it kind of held together. There were a couple pieces that were missing. This bottom board on the back panel was missing, so I found an old piece that I could stick in there, and then this front cross piece was also missing, and this is what the front door and it becomes the table hinges on. That was also missing. I found one that had this light green tone of paint on it, which I've found throughout this whole sheep wagon. And even on this cabinet, there's a side cleat here for evidently being a board here. Well, on the top of this cleat, you can see here also, it still has a remnant of that green paint. On the inside of the cabinet, at one time, they thought they wanted it to be white, but you can see underneath the white, where these shelves protected that paint, there's still a hint of green here. And it's also on the other side where that green is still preserved. You can also see up on the top underneath, where it was protected from the sun and the weather, there's a lot of that green still remaining underneath this white. Well, there was a door on the front face of this cabinet that would hinge down. There's still some hinges here on the bottom that would fasten to this bottom cross piece, and it would hinge down and become the table. Well, in the center, there was a leg that was also hinged on this upper brace, and as that table folded down, this leg would come down and become the support to the floor of this wagon. Well, this is really poor right here. At one time, the upper part of this latch was still there. This bottom part has been missing. I thought maybe it was in the rubble, but I have looked and looked, and it doesn't seem to be found. Well, in this area where the table leg was fastened to, it's also pretty rotted here. And this board underneath isn't in the best condition either. And I can hear a lot of you out there, because of your comments, saying, not the best condition. This whole thing is not in the best condition. But the goal is to preserve what we can. So I think I'm going to try to take this board out. Where this table leg was, you can also see the remnant of the green under it because it was protected. But I think I can cut these nails, take this board out, put a new one in, and re-nail it and clinch it. And if I drill backwards, you notice that I can put these nails right back in the same position that they were. I have this board here. It's an old weathered board. Has a little different tone than this light gray, but it is an old weathered board. I'm going to try to slip that right in. So then my screws for the hinge will have something solid to fasten to. And if I can come up with something to accommodate this latch, we'll get rid of this really poor spot as well. This board off to the side was really poor. I did fill these cracks with glue, and I tried to stabilize this. I've got it glued down to this cross piece here, put a couple nails in, so that I think I can preserve. It's this board here that I want to replace. Well, a couple weeks ago, we looked at this box here that I speculate is maybe to put pots and pans in, and I didn't really quite know where to put it yet, so I haven't attached it. But when I dug out this side bench for the left side, I could see some marks where I think this box went. This, I think, is where that cleat was. And then there's a mark here across where this sideboard went that I replaced, if you remember that. So if I stick this box here and line it up with these marks, this lines up and this sideboard lines up as well. So I can see now that the end of this box here needs to be 3 inches from the end of my bench. So that now will give me the measurement that I was looking for. It's going to set right there. Well, further down this left bench, there's a mark here where this kitchen cabinet set as well. Well, on the side of this cabinet, or this cupboard as I called it last week, there's 2 sets of irons that bolt this cupboard to the side bench. They're going to sit about right like so. Well, these 2 holes here are for the braces that are underneath this seat bench. And if this angle brace here is the edge of the box, it looks like the edge of the cabinet should be right up here close to the edge of this iron. So I can also measure from the edge of this bench back to the center of my hole. And it looks like this hole for the brace should be at 2 3/4 of an inch. About like so. So if I bring this cabinet right to the edge of this iron, where it goes right here, it should sit right in there close. And my brace is going to bolt right up here. And that needs to be 2 3/4, so I need to be up into this area. Should be able to mount that cabinet right about there. And I'll square myself up about an inch back. And the brace on the other side will get bolted right there. Well, this is a test for those of you who are of the older generation. Do you remember the song, Don't Let the Rain Come Down? There was a crooked little man and he had a crooked smile. He had a crooked sixpence and he walked a crooked mile. He had a crooked cat and he had a crooked mouse. And they all lived together in a crooked little house. Well, this is the epitome of a crooked little house. This table has got a crown to it because it is warped. You see these boards here, how they've got such a belly to them? I guess just over all the years, they just are kind of swayed back like an old nag. Well, what that does is this puts this crown to the inside, and my straight fronts on these shelves interfere with the bow on the table. Well, I could just cut them all shorter. Maybe that's the thing to do. That, or I'd have to put a belly on each one of these shelves. Maybe I'll just shorten them up another 1/2 inch or 3/4. A crooked little house. Now I have a better idea where this box goes. I'm going to go ahead and attach this tin. I think it was the original. It goes here, and then it has a similar size spacer on the bottom that'll get tacked into the side of the wagon. And then there's this heavy tin that was added afterwards. I need to get it straightened out. Well, this tin is shaped to hook over the top of this board, but it needs to angle out so it clears this brace here that holds this bottom tin. So I got to put a slight angle in that. She's gonna set right about like so. Much better. Kind of hangs pretty tight right over the top of this. And this is the slight bend it has to have. Well, this little bend here, I'm guessing, comes up against the front wall. It was bent to accommodate that. And when I disassembled this from all the pile of rubble, this piece here was bolted to the front right about like so. And the tin seems to come up and butt right up against that. It had a long bolt, I haven't straightened it out yet, that goes through this major frame here to the outside of the box. And it's going to go across and bolt into the framework of the door. So once it's straightened out, it should set about like so, and then the door is to this side. And this is what is left of the front door frame assembly. It's a split door, kind of like a barn door. The bottom panel is solid. Then it looks like there was a window here. Then the bottom door would be solid as well. So as the shepherd would drive, he would close the bottom door, open the top, and then stand in the doorway and drive the team. So I've been pondering on this, how it goes, how it bolts into this side frame, and I think I'm going to focus on that this next week. So one of the advantages for me is I get to go back and look at some of the videos when I was actually cleaning up all the debris and disassembling this. There was a shot in there where I was taking this door out, and I could see, even though it was covered with plywood, there were some original boards still on this left-hand section of the door. And this lower panel of the door with the window was still intact, even though it fell out as I was moving it. So I could go back and use that to my advantage as well. So all of these videos are not strictly for entertainment. They're a great deal of help for me as I kind of go through all this and get to learn about it. You know, I've mentioned in the past, wagons are teaching me. This wagon is teaching me how it was built, because it's very unique to its own style, how it is laid out, which is typical of shepherd's wagons or sheep camps, or have a lot of different names. Anyway, appreciate you following along. We're going to try to tackle this door and this front assembly, I think, next week. Thanks for watching.